Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Channel Analytics and using analytics to grow your YouTube. This was just definitely a video that standed alone, and I wanted to really delve into this because this is going to be your biggest looking glass into where you're succeeding and what's not working on your YouTube channel. And if you can really let the analytics speak to you, this gives you all the information you need to keep coming out with things that are going to be successful for you. So this is my overall analytics over the last 28 days. And you can see that everything is up, not exponentially, but up. And that's good to know. But this is not the key analytic I tend to focus on. So here I'm going to go to content. And we have some videos here that have gone up recently, some good examples and some bad examples. So I'm going to start with this 48 hours in Death Valley National Park. It has only been up for a few days now, and it's already, well, actually a couple weeks, and it's already got almost 2,300 views, and this is pretty good for me. So I'm going to hover here and click where it says analytics. So this overall information is good. You can see how many subscribers you're getting from this video, which is good to know because the videos where you get tons of subscribers, it's good indication that you should make more like that. But this again isn't going to tell us the key things. Actually, the best thing you can do is make your reach better. So here you can see that I have a 7% impressions click-through rate. What does that mean? That means that my title and my thumbnail were so compelling that people decided to watch. Anything from 5 to 10% is really, really good. I don't know how many people really get over 10%. But this means that 7 people out of every 100 who were shown this thumbnail opted to watch. So this is really good information for me to have. You can see it's gone up over time. That means that YouTube is getting better at offering this up to people on YouTube search. So I can take that as a good sign that it's working. Next, let's go to engagement. So you can see that the engagement is much better than my typical for performance as well. And when we go down here, we can see that the average percentage viewed is 55.7%. Anything over 50% is pretty good. And that means that YouTube is a lot more likely to suggest your videos to people who don't necessarily follow you because they've seen that this is a video people like and tend to watch. And then I really, really like this feature here where it shows you key moments for audience retention. So if I hover over the intro, it's telling me that 77% of the people who started this video stuck around through the intro. This is when you pretty much lose the most people. And this is when you really, really need to have an incredibly strong hook. And that's something that I'm learning and working on. But let's switch the intro to this one and see if we feel there's a hook there.
Welcome to Death Valley, boys and girls. I'm Kristen. I've been traveling the world for the last 9 years almost entirely alone. But a couple years ago, I ended up meeting a pretty amazing person, and we've been traveling all through Nevada together. We just wrapped up the most bizarre road trip I have ever been on, the US 95 between Reno and Vegas, before we made a turn to come to Death Valley.
Okay, so that's my intro there. I could have definitely put an even better hook in, like if I had a reaction to a beautiful viewpoint, or if I was like, hey, of all the places that you're gonna go, you cannot miss this one. Something like that, I think would result in even better retention as long as I'm gonna deliver on that later. So make sure that if you are like, wow, something amazing happens in this video, you do end up showing that. Now let's look at contiguous segment. So this, to be able to retain people right here at the end, is pretty good. So let's see what I did right here.
And overlook 5,500 feet or 1,700 meters above sea level. It's tough to adequately photograph or even describe this viewpoint except to say that you've got to see it. Looking down, we could see the Badwater Basin and views all the way at either end of Death Valley.
Okay, so I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing, but basically I am showing a really beautiful view, and I'm also providing information along with it, like what is Dante's view? What do you see when you go up there? And I tried to pair that with like really beautiful shooting. Since filming this, it's only been a couple of months, but my B-roll looks a lot more cinematic. So you might notice that later on in my channel, that it got a lot better. And that's purely because I was watching tutorials on how to do it and I followed their advice. So definitely keep improving, keep trying to get better. And I promise it'll be more fun for you as well when you've got more enthusiasm for it and you know you're doing a good job. But anyway, this was enough to retain people. And it just goes into one other spot that you can see there. And then I show my car camping setup here. And then right here, this is my dip. This is where I really lost people. And it's not surprising.
Park, especially if you're short on time and only
let me show you what happened right before this dip.
Tour from Death Valley. You can free camp wherever you want, and there's lots of movie famous places to take photos and videos. I hope that you loved this video. I hope that it showed you all of the amazing things.
I'm clearly closing the video. I say, I hope you loved it. And so I'm letting you know there's nothing else to see here. And then I have a pretty big dip, but I still have like quite a lot of time left in the video. And so I'm also learning here that having a quick exit is really important so that people get to this all important end screen where it encourages them to subscribe and watch more. This is coming up blank for us right now because I'm within my own analytics watching it, but normally here's my subscribe button and here's another video suggestion. So I want people to get to the end because as you see here, I only have a 0.9% click rate and I don't even think my channel average is probably very good. So I thought conventionally you were always supposed to tell people to subscribe and share it at the end. But now I'm realizing it's much better to remind people to do that halfway through with a little pop-up or something like that, and to have a cliffhanger at the end or like end with a really bold statement. Anything to get people to be like, okay, I'm connected all the way until the end, and then boom. That's how you really get people to click your end screen elements, which is important. You want people to binge watch. So a really good example of this is Casey Neistat did this whole like video about how he was preparing a surprise for his wife. He took you completely behind the scenes with him, and he's super engaging. If you haven't seen his stuff, I recommend watching a video or two. And he doesn't actually show what happens after she walks in the door and like gasps. That's the end of the video. So you watch this whole video preparing the surprise, and then you only see like the very beginning of her reaction. And that was a risk he took, but he left it on a cliffhanger, and you probably watched it all the way to the end because you were waiting for that reaction and you got the gasp, but that was it though. So that's a pretty genius way of getting people to want to see more and to stick around for your end screen. That video is years and years old, but maybe you can still find it on his channel. So now let's look at one that is not doing very well for me. So that went up a week ago. And if I hover over the analytics here, there's a lot I learned from this video, so I don't regret making it. I may delete it at some point if it's just underperforming that much and like do a retake on it, which is a lot of work, but that's just how you get better. Let's look at the click-through rate, 2.1%. That's really not good. So I have changed it a few times. Here, it was me like in a hot tub. Let me find it for you. How to keep warm in winter. So that was me in a hot tub, and I don't think it really appealed to people as much as I thought it would. I thought it would create more intrigue than it did. So then I realized that I needed to kind of see what the engagement was like to see where the problem is here. Okay, everything is down. Average percentage viewed 37%. That's not great. So where are the dips? You can see right away here the intro. That is not great to already have almost half gone by the time you're done with the intro. So let's see what happened.
Hey, I'm Kristen, and I've been traveling the world for the last 9 years almost entirely alone. Winter is not something that I grew up with, being from Greater Los Angeles, but I've done a lot of learning in the past few years, and I've come to love this season. On my channel, you can see all things related to adventurous and solo travel, and today we are talking about how to stay warm, how to layer, and how to enjoy hiking in the winter.
So I think the issue here is that I started right off with my channel intro rather than sort of having a live one. And I got right into who I am instead of kind of telling people what they were going to get out of the video. So once again, I lacked a hook. And I'm realizing now how incredibly important that hook is. So the other thing though is that I was promoting this as a video about how to keep warm in the winter, but I didn't mention hiking. And I think the issue is I was just trying to appeal to more people, which is, I think we've learned time and time again, really not the objective. You want to appeal to exactly who you're appealing. So the issue is I brought them in, but then I did not deliver. Another big drop is right here.
Without tearing. You can also get some nice fleece gloves, nothing up if you want to, just to keep some extra warmth. I really like the thermals from Patagonia, but you can get these really cheap if you want to. The leggings that I choose are Lululemon leggings.
Okay, people dropped right off after I said Patagonia and Lululemon. So I hold the opinion that leggings that last me for 15 years, no matter how much punishment I put them through, are really good value. And same with Patagonia stuff. Like I just buy one thing and have it for 10 years. But, you know, obviously not everyone agrees with me that Patagonia and Lululemon are cheap. So I maybe I maybe could have done a much better job of explaining that. I probably shouldn't have focused on this being cheap because people aren't going to see it that way just because I see it that way. They want something that is going to be quick and cheap that they can buy right now and like maybe use for a season, unfortunately. So I think what I really needed to focus on instead with my thumbnail, and I'm going to have to change it again, is winter hiking. That's what this video is about. It's about winter hiking. It's not about budget. It's not about like cute layering. It's just about winter hiking, how to stay warm. And I need to like really lean into that because my channel is about hiking. So again, great learning experience. This is just showing me that this wasn't that engaging for people and that I might want to axe it and try again, or just change the thumbnail one last time and see what happens. Okay, so now I want to go back to one that has been around for a while and is doing pretty well. Let's look at this. Actually, I have two more I'm going to show you, but they all are really going to be valuable insights, I think. So here's my Manitoba Winter Wonderland. How well did that do? Pretty well. It's got a 6.7% click-through rate at this stage. That's really good. Engagement. Okay. Average percentage viewed is still 36.3%. So, I think this graph here is seriously misleading and just pointless because it only matters what your average view duration is if you make every single video you have the same length. So don't look at that to get your key information. You need to look at down here, audience retention. So 36%, not amazing. I obviously lose a lot of people in this intro. Let's see what happened.
It's going to be a serious winter up there, but also hopefully we'll see the northern lights and who knows what else.
So I'd seen this work for other people where you just have beautiful things at the intro and then, hopefully get a lot of views out of that. And while I think there is still a place for that, I still didn't have a hook here. Instead of that in the beginning saying we're about to go to XYZ place, I should have filmed myself reacting to the Northern Lights, like give something to people that they're going to want to stick around for. And then I also think we had some drama because our flight got rerouted and we ended up in this place that wasn't where we were supposed to go, but then had amazing Northern Lights that night. I really could have developed that story more. And instead of focusing on the story and telling people, like giving people a sense of what it felt like to be there, I was more telling people this is what it is. And so what I've learned is that I wasn't doing great storytelling before. Now with the voiceovers, I can do a lot more. And it's really been the best way actually for me to grow is to realize that what I love is storytelling and that's probably what my superpower is. And I haven't been really leaning into that. So the analytics are basically what helped me realize that. So let's look at the contiguous segment. This is when I'm in Churchill and we take ski-doos out. So that was a pretty cool sequence there. But actually, I want to look at the overview again and show you this. No, where do we find that? Reach. Okay, here we go. Traffic source types. So YouTube search is providing a lot. They're also suggesting it as a video. This is super interesting to me that WhatsApp was a source of some traffic here. That means people are actually taking it and sending it to each other in a message. So I'm taking that as a very good sign that someone shared it with a friend. And I think that even though I didn't maybe deliver on the hook as well as I could have and retained people, at least when you make videos about places like this that nobody else does, like if you're the 20th person to make a video on things to do in Bali, you might not stand out. But if you're going to a place that other people don't, that the locals are very proud of, you have a really good chance of that video being successful, I've noticed. So keep in mind that if there's any kind of local pride, they will share your video, and that's where a lot of your views are going to come from. So if you can keep delivering on that same destination or topic, that would be wonderful too. Like I could have done a lot more while I was in Canada, but I only made 2 videos instead of probably like 5 or 6 that I could have made because I just wasn't thinking that way yet. So knowing what videos you kind of want to get before you go is very helpful too. Okay, I want to show you another one that did very well for me. All right, it's an older one. We're getting close. Okay, here we go, Coyote Gulch. So I made this, I think like 4 or 5 years ago. But this is probably my best video for engagement, actually. So if we look at the reach, it's got a 7.6% click-through rate. That's really good. So I'm telling people to do Coyote Gulch in one day. I think that that is very appealing to people because normally it's an overnight. I think I could do even more now with the cover. Maybe instead of having that font for in one day, I would have it a different font that's easier to read, but obviously we did well with that over time. The key thing that I want you to see here though is the engagement. So this has over 30,000 views and the average percentage viewed is still 53.5%. That is really good. And I actually did a good job with retaining people. So let's see what this intro was.
So I have arrived in Escalante now. It was a gorgeous drive from Zion to here on the scenic byway number 12. Highly recommend it to you. I am really interested in a...
Okay, there was a lot more energy in this intro. I think I did hook people by droning myself like rappelling down this wall. And this is the thing though about this hike that people are curious about because you have to do that to do it in one day. So this is me showing them that I did that. Another thing that's really interesting here is basically everything is a contiguous segment, this whole video, and this one peaks. So people watched twice right around here. This is where I tie the rope and I start to rappel down the side of the canyon. They want to know what that looks like. They want to know what they're going to be up against, you know? So this information was really helpful enough that people replayed it multiple times. And I did a good job keeping them till the end. And I'll tell you why. If you go back and watch this video, there is a very clear story. I drive out there alone. It's a little uncomfortable for me to do that in the car that I have, but I make it. I'm doing it completely alone. So I'm camping alone out there, no one else around me. And then I like tied on the rope and solo rappelled down by myself. So this is all I just think really interesting. And I am honest about like being scared in it. And so I think I was actually better at telling stories. And then I got way too much into like just trying to hit it with SEO. And now I'm going back to the stories. So it's kind of an interesting evolution I've had, but this gave people value in that it showed them what the hike was going to look like, enough to the point that they wanted to stick around for the whole thing because they wanted to see it all. So I was good at retaining them. And I think I could shoot this way better now and make it a lot more visually appealing. But for something that I did back then, it did well for me. And then I want to take you finally no, back this way. To the most successful or just most viewed video that I have with over 1.2 million views. So let's look at the reach on this one. So people needed to know why I didn't like the Philippines. And this definitely was mostly shown to probably Filipino people. Let's see here. Yeah, 64%. So this is a few years old now. So this data is pretty good. And if we look back here, we can see that I'm just losing people throughout it. So around here is where I have the change of heart, I think. And so a lot of people just don't watch the whole thing. They basically watch it, get enraged, leave either a rude comment, or some of them watch the whole thing and then leave a nice comment. But yeah, the engagement is not great on this one, 31%. The contiguous segment is here. I might have waited all the way until here actually to get like nice about my experience and explain it better. So this was an early experiment that obviously worked for me. I got so many views on it. Let me see the all-time, how many subscribers it helped with. Okay, so I got 6.6 thousand subscribers off of this. And every time I put out a video about the Philippines or Southeast Asia in general, it does really well for me. So I did put this up knowing that it was gonna get some eyeballs and that people would probably like not like it. And I just did it to see if it would work, and it did. So I never expected it to work this well, but I put this up early in my journey, and then I had a pretty quick like 8,000 followers. So that first 10,000 is by far the hardest. And if you can figure out ways to go viral like this, it can help you. But that means if I put out videos about anything that's not about the Philippines, people are a bit less interested. So I'm definitely working more on that US market. I've had some success like with this hot springs video, but it's all an experiment is what I think I'm trying to say here. And you are just going to have to try things to see how YouTube is going to work for you. It is going to try to help you. So if your video is getting over a 50% viewer retention rate, it's going to show it to more people, especially if the click-through rate is good. So those two metrics are so key to getting more views on your videos and getting YouTube to be like, okay, so this channel is worth promoting. So if you are consistently putting out videos that have a hook and really keep people engaged, that is going to just be the thing that makes you do better. And you can only know that by continuously looking at what you put out and see how it's doing. I do also change my thumbnails regularly. If it's not performing well, I try to figure out why and give it a better hook if I can with the thumbnail and title. But at the end of the day, your video has to deliver. So I hope that this helped. I hope that seeing sort of my analytics was also helpful for you. I do have to show you over the last 28 days, I earned $162. So this is not a big money maker yet. And I just keep doing it with the hope that it will continue to get better. And as you can see, it is on the upswing here. We've increased our frequency, and also I'm just experimenting a lot more to see what people like and trying to create more of what they like. So we will see how this changes over the coming year.